4 a.m., my phone buzzed, but it wasn't an app or a person. The notification just read, "You're still here." As I read it, the lights in the hallway flickered. The old floorboards groaned, and the whole house seemed to settle around me like a sigh of disappointment. It was a feeling I couldn't shake, a sudden, cold certainty. The house was expecting me to be gone by now, and it wasn't happy that I wasn't. The old house greeted me with silence, but it was a heavy, watchful kind of silence. I stepped inside, the door groaning shut behind me with a final echoing click. At first, it was just the usual creaks and groans of an old structure settling. But then, the shadows in the corner of my eyes started to do more than just flicker. They stretched, twisted like long, dark fingers reaching out from the walls. I told myself it was just a trick of the light, but a sudden, bone-chilling cold swept through the hallway, raising goosebumps on my arms despite the summer heat outside. I tried a doorknob, locked. I turned to go back the way I came. The front door was now sealed tight, refusing to budge. A faint, foul smell began to snake its way through the air, the scent of damp earth and something else, something rotting. That's when I heard it. A soft, rhythmic sound from within the walls, inhale, exhale. It was as if the entire house was breathing around me. I pressed my ear against the floral wallpaper, and it felt damp, almost sticky. My heart hammered against my ribs as I backed away, my eyes wide. A dark, thick liquid like blood began to ooze from a crack in the plaster above the fireplace, tracing a slow, crimson path down the wall. The very architecture of the room seemed to warp, the corners of my vision bending as if the house was squeezing me, trying to digest me whole. The floorboards beneath my feet groaned in unison, a low, guttural moan that vibrated through my entire body. I wasn't just in a house. I was inside a predator, and it was starting to wake up. I had to find a way out before the walls closed in for good. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoy a good scare, be sure to follow for more. The first week in this house was a blur of unpacking and misplaced optimism. The real estate agent called it a steal, a charming old place with character. But character, I'm learning, is just another word for secrets. It started subtly. A floorboard groaning when no one was there. A flicker of lights that the electrician couldn't explain. Then came the notification on my phone. An app I never installed. Just a simple countdown timer, ticking away. I tried to delete it, but it was locked. A prank, I told myself. A weird glitch, but then I found the room. Tucked away behind a false wall in the basement, a space not on any blueprint, it wasn't empty. It was filled wall to wall with the remnants of other lives. A child's worn teddy bear, a half-finished book of poetry with a faded bookmark, a dusty pair of spectacles perched on a stack of yellowed letters. Each item felt personal, cherished. It was a museum of lost things, but the unsettling part was the feeling that the owners hadn't just left them behind. They were still here somehow. A cold dread began to seep into my bones, as cold as the damp basement air. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, the ticking of the grandfather clock in the hall syncopating with the frantic beat of my own heart. Or so I thought. I held my breath, listening. Thump, 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 thump. It wasn't the clock. The sound was deeper, more resonant. It was coming from the walls. I pressed my hand against the plaster, and I could feel it, a slow, rhythmic pulse, like a massive heart beating within the very structure of the house. The wallpaper seemed to ripple with each beat, its floral patterns writhing in the dim light. The house was breathing. The house was alive. I stumbled out of my room, my mind reeling. The air grew thick, heavy, making each breath a struggle. The house felt smaller, the hallways constricting around me. I felt drawn to the large bay window in the living room, the one that looked out onto the deserted street. I needed to see something normal, something outside of this architectural nightmare. But as I stared into the darkness, I didn't see the streetlights or the neighbor's porch. I saw a reflection. Not just mine, but something else overlaid, something vast and ancient. The glass warped, and for a horrifying second, the two panes of the window looked back at me. They were eyes, the house's eyes. And in them I saw my own terrified face, trapped. My phone buzzed violently in my pocket. I pulled it out, my hand shaking uncontrollably, the timer. The one I'd dismissed as a prank. The numbers were no longer counting down days or hours. It was seconds. 5, 4, 3. It wasn't a glitch. It was a warning, a welcome timer. A countdown to my initiation, to becoming another lost thing in its collection. The front door, my only escape, began to bulge inward, the wood groaning, splintering, reshaping itself into a grotesque, smiling mouth. 2, 1. The walls pulsed one final, deafening time, and everything went dark. I was home, forever.